Hey guys, and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today's video is very exciting because it is the first video in a series that I decided to start on this channel for Halloween. Now, Halloween is my favorite holiday, and from some of your comments, I'm guessing that it might be some of yours as well. So the way that this series is going to work is I'm going to upload one video every single day from now until Halloween. Now, not all of these videos are going to be based on the day of Halloween itself, but they do kind of give you the Halloween-y feel. Some of these videos are going to be shorter than some of them, and some of them are going to be a little bit longer because that is just the way that it worked out. But with that all being said, I hope that you guys really enjoy all of these videos, and I hope that you enjoy this series, and let's get right into this video. Travis and Olivia Mabel were over the moon when they found out that they were expecting a child. The couple really wanted to have a large family, and they wanted to have lots of kids and raise them on a large property where the kids could run around and play outside all of the time. So after having their son Aiden, when they came across the Footlight Ranch for sale, they thought that this would be the perfect property to raise their son as well as grow their family. Footlight Ranch is located in Salina, Texas, which is just about 1 hour outside of Dallas. It is a ranch-style home that owns lots and lots of property. So after the Mabels saw this, they just couldn't give up this opportunity and moved into the home in 1983. Like I said, Olivia and Travis Mabel wanted to have lots of children, and after moving to the Footlight Ranch, they planned on growing their family. But they decided that for the first 7 years of Aiden's life, they wanted to focus all of their love and attention on him. He was the light of both of his parents' eyes, and at this point, one child was all they needed. Because of the large amount of property that was surrounding the Mabels' home, Aiden spent most of his days playing outside in nature. So on March 13th, 1990, when Aiden asked Olivia if he could go outside and spend the day playing around the property, Olivia didn't hesitate to agree. The only rule that Aiden had was that he had to be home by dinner, and this was the same rule that he had every single day. By 5:30, when Aiden still hadn't returned home for dinner, Travis and Olivia Mabel just assumed that Aiden possibly got caught up playing and lost track of time. And this was something that had happened in the past. He'd been playing and was late for dinner, so the couple went out to search for their son and bring him home before his dinner got too cold. But this is where tragedy would struck this small family. Not too far away from the family home, Travis and Olivia Mabel came across the body of their son floating face down in a pond. The 7-year-old had fallen into the pond and became stuck, causing him to drown. Like many parents in these kinds of situations, the loss of a child put a lot of strain on the relationship, and this caused Olivia and Travis to get a divorce. And Travis moved away to try and rebuild his life, but unfortunately, that was not an option for Olivia Mabel. Olivia Mabel would remain living at the Footlight Ranch, but she would never rebuild her life. After the loss of Aiden, she completely withdrew from everybody and everything. She stopped going to work and never returned again, and she cut off almost complete contact with the outside world, so much to the point that she had her groceries delivered to her home so that she never had to leave. Once Travis had moved away, Olivia's loved ones and her family and friends became very worried about her because they hadn't seen or heard from her for a very long time. So they started to write her letters and show up at her house and call her, but she never answered. She never opened the door, she never responded to their letters or answered the phone. And the only time she had human contact was when she was getting her groceries delivered. Such a long time had passed without anybody being able to get into contact with Olivia. Her loved ones all stopped trying to contact her. Most of them weren't even sure if she'd still lived on the ranch, and a lot of them believed that she'd actually moved away and wasn't in contact with any of them because it was too hard for her to remember them and talk to them because it was a link to her lost son. On February 27, 1994, the Salina Police Department received a very strange phone call. When they answered the call, it was complete silence before the phone call just cut out. And after this strange phone call, the police department received 2 more phone calls absolutely identical to the first one, and they both cut out just after a few moments. After tracing these phone calls, investigators found that they were traced to the Footlight Ranch, and because there was multiple calls made and nobody had answered when the police tried to interact with them, the police were sent to the home to do a welfare check. When investigators arrived at the ranch, they were immediately met with a strange scene. The house had looked completely abandoned, and in fact, the front door hadn't been used in so long that it had swelled so much to the point that it was like sticking out. And it was absolutely impossible to exit or enter the front door without having to break it down because it was so swollen and broken. Thinking that something could be wrong or somebody could possibly have been trapped inside the house, investigators broke down the door to go investigate. And what they found was that the inside of the home was in just as bad a state as the outside of the home. Everything was covered in cobwebs, dust, and it appeared that nobody had lived there for quite some time. The whole entire house was in a similar state except for what would have been Aiden's room. His room was immaculately clean and everything was put away perfectly. His toys and his clothes were all folded and put away really nicely like you would expect in a house where somebody had lived. Sitting in the middle of the room on a rocking chair was the decaying body of Olivia Mabel. She was wearing a housecoat and slippers and holding a doll in her hands that seemed to be made to look like a young boy. And this doll was wrapped in little scraps of Aiden's clothing. Sitting in front of her, she had what appeared to be a shrine to her son. And on this shrine, she had Aiden's favorite toys, photos of him, drawings of him, and drawings that were done by him before his passing, as well as letters that were written to him by Olivia. Now this is where this case begins to get very, very weird. An autopsy was done on Olivia Mabel's body, and this confirmed that she had been deceased for somewhere around 2 months. And her body did look this way as it was decaying. One of the letters found that was written by Olivia read, "My Aiden, I'm sorry. I should have never let it get like this. I'm leaving. I will not let you keep me, you foul creature. Mommy is coming for you, Aiden. My sweet Aiden, Mommy loves you." The letter was dated February 27th, 1994, the day that the police entered the home. Some things that were found in the home also suggested that Olivia Mabel was partaking in occult rituals. And on the shrine for her son, they actually found letters written in Sanskrit. And one of these letters was translated to rebuild or construct. It is believed that Olivia Mabel was trying to create a tulpa. Now I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But this is a being that you can create by using your mental state. And I believe that this is equivalent to bringing somebody back from the dead. This was backed up by the Sanskrit writing that was found on the shrine for Aiden, and it also was backed up by the doll that Olivia was found holding in her hand after she was deceased. This is a ritual that is practiced by monks who believe that from dedication and focus, you can not only create something, but recreate something. Or I guess in this case, bring somebody back. Now, of course, this is strange itself, but if Olivia had been dead for months, then that leaves the lingering question of who made the 911 call. Officers who had arrived on the scene and found Olivia Mabel's body said that there had been no forced entry on the home, and even if somebody did have a key to the house, they couldn't have exited or entered through the front door as the wood was decaying. All of the windows and doors to the home had been locked from the inside, and investigators said that there had been no sign of forced entry or even any sign that anybody had been on the property before they had arrived. And on top of all of that, Olivia Mabel's phone sat in the living room and it was covered in dust. And there was no dust misplaced on top of the phone, and there was no fingerprints on it, suggesting that nobody had used this phone for quite a while. Could Olivia Mabel have been trying to bring back her son from the dead and accidentally summoned a demon who took over her life? One of the female officers who arrived on the scene said after coming to the home, she immediately felt a dark presence looming over the ranch. After Olivia Mabel's death, the ranch was sold to a man who claimed to have multiple paranormal encounters while on the property. And after this, he had tried to sell the ranch, but because people say that as soon as they enter the home, they feel a dark presence and it just makes you feel uncomfortable, he has not been able to resell the property at all, and it has been sitting almost completely empty for about 30 years. In 2005, a paranormal investigator actually visited the home, and he said that this was one of the strangest properties that he had ever visited. And he said that upon entering the house, he actually lost the ability to breathe. He said that the spirit was erratic and angry, and before anybody should live in that home, that the spirit should be removed. But he himself couldn't actually remove the spirit because he couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was that he was dealing with. Now, because this isn't my usual missing persons case, of course there aren't too many theories that go along with this, but there definitely are a few that I'm going to mention so that you guys can come up with your own conclusion on what happened. Maybe somebody did unnoticeably enter the home while Olivia was deceased and found her body and decided that they wanted to stay anonymous, so they phoned the police and didn't say anything on the phone, and then were able to escape the home before the police had arrived. That would mean that this person would have also been responsible for writing that strange letter, and I just don't really see the reasoning behind it. Again, there was no evidence of anybody being on the property before the police had arrived or while the police were there, and it just doesn't make sense how this person would have entered the home. There was also, again, no fingerprints on this phone, and there was just no evidence that anybody had been on the property since Olivia Mabel had passed away. and others believe that this case is extremely exaggerated or not true at all. Online, you can find a death certificate for Aiden and Mabel, but I was not able to find one for Olivia. I was also not able to find any news articles written about this case at the time that it had happened, which is kind of odd because with such a strange case like this, you'd think that the media would be all over it. So of course, this leads many people to believe that this is an elaborate hoax. But it is possible that Olivia Mabel's death certificate just isn't printed online, and it is also possible that maybe her case wasn't highly publicized due to the wishes of her loved ones. But I can confirm that Footlight Ranch is a real place, and a little boy by the name of Aiden Mabel did die there from drowning. That much I can confirm. And guys, that brings us to the end of this video. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to comment down below what you'd like to see in my future videos, and also what you think of this strange case, because I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on it. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss another video from me, especially this week, because again, I will be uploading 7 videos for 7 days, all Halloween themed, all that will leave you feeling a little bit creeped out and uneasy. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video like this one. Bye guys!